The shark is pretty obvious, but that is actually a horseshoe crab. A horseshoe crab. Now, the dinosaurs died 66 odd million years ago, but these guys survived. Do you know how long they've survived? 400 million years. The shark has been around for over 400 million years, and so is the horseshoe crab. And do you know what they have in common that the dinosaurs did not? It is because the shark has an adaptive hunting strategy that allows for it to adapt to different environments that it swims in. While the horseshoe crab, look at the way it's shaped, is able to adapt to different climates and be able to control the way it survives in those climates. And it is for that reason they managed to survive when the dinosaurs didn't. And if you look at the dinosaurs who disappeared, and you look at the horseshoe crab, and you look at the sharks, and you compare it to us, and each and every one of us in the room, we have been around for like 300,000 years in this format, in the Sapiens format, right? And you are in this room right now because your ancestors survived practically everything. You see, Sapiens was detailed really well in this book by Yuval Noah Harari. Anyone read that book? You have? So you know the Sapiens, the way it's been detailed out, has survived practically everything. You can find civilizations of humans in the Aztecs in South America. You can find them close to the Saharan desert. You can find them in the Indus Delta. You will find them even in the tundras in Alaska, which means that Sapiens survived literally every type of environment, and that is why you are sitting in that seat today, because your ancestor went through all of that over hundreds of thousands of years. And it made me think, wait a second, like, if my ancestors have survived all of this time, and I am here today, then I should be able to do everything, right? I should be able to do whatever I want at any point in time I want, but I can survive that. But guess what? I did not know that when I was your age. I had no idea. Pata hi nahi tha mujhe. But what happened was, life happened. At 18, I went to college. I left the country, and I lived alone for the first time. Between the age of 18 and 28, I changed residences 10 times. I held 8 jobs, and I worked in 2 industries, and I also finished 2 degrees. I lived in 4 cities, and I got to travel parts of the world. Again, those happened mostly because they had to happen, circumstantial, and that was the choice I made at that time. I did not know what impact that would have on my life. Fast forward to today, since I was 28 till today, my country count has gone up to 40, circumstance. I ended up founding businesses, 4 of them. I shut 2 of them down. I lost a lot of money in 1 of them. I operate now in 4 different countries. 1 of them is really hard. Actually, 2 are really hard because they work at night and 2 work during the day. So now I have to work around the clock. 3 little kids at the same time, and a passion for hobbies that I can't shake. I love driving. I drove this morning at the new Sharai Bhutto 7-kilometer half road that they've built. And I love running. And also, I picked up doing a podcast where I got a chance to meet 160 people smarter than me. And so what this has taught me is that, wait a second, you can practically do anything that you want, right? You can put your mind to it and you can do it. Because if I can, I'm sure anyone else can. But when you look at what's going to happen to us with AI coming into this equation, how does that change everything? Then we start to get a little bit worried. You see, there's another book I would recommend you guys read. It's called AI Superpower. It's by Kai-Fu Lee, who's the Google head in China. And he basically talks about what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. Your compute power for AI is increasing or doubling every 3 to 4 months. US and China have entered an AI race, which, by the way, I'm sure, who's tried R1? Who's tried GPT-O1? So you know the difference. R1 is insane, right? And now who's seen the new TikTok augmented videos that have started coming out, right? It's crazy how fast a lot of this stuff is moving. And so it really makes us think about, okay, what is it that we need to do to become recipients of change, to have a change mindset, and not wait for life to happen to adapt to that change, which is what I had to do. For me, life had to happen for me to learn change. And at the age of 43 today, I now have started to understand what that means. But you're at an advantage. You guys are almost half that age. So what can you do? What are some of the simple things you can do? I was thinking about it. I said, you know what? First of all, I want you to think about this. What is this? Year of the Snake. Why is the tradition of the Year of the Snake relevant in Chinese culture and tradition? What is it about a snake that you know that is very unique amongst all animals, reptiles? It can shed its skin. It can change. It sheds its skin. So the Year of the Snake represents you shedding your skin and shedding your identity that you're holding on to today. And you have a whole year to do that. But the question is, how does one shed their skin? How do you shed your identity that you've held on to so dearly, that has been ingrained in you by your family, by your parents, by your loved ones? Well, I'll give you 3 ways. And hopefully that is your takeaway from the discussion today. So I've come up with 3 easy taglines for you. Hopefully you'll remember them. One's the daily 30. The second one is exploration every day. And the third is reflect and record. And I have used all of them, not because I read some book and it was, all inspirational, but I used them because these actually helped me as I was transitioning through all of the things that I was involved with. So the daily 30 was easy for me. The daily 30 means spend 30 minutes every day learning something new, right? And it doesn't have to be forced. कि मैं जाके किताब उठाऊं, फिर किताब पढ़ूं, और फिर notes लिखूं. It doesn't have to be that. So I didn't know much about crypto, right? During COVID, I was like, okay, this whole crypto boom's happening. What's going on? How do I learn about crypto? So I run a digital agency. I have an idea of, okay, the algorithms need to be cheated. So what I started doing is I went and I followed a lot of crypto pages. Just like literally in one shot, research which are the top 15, 20, followed them all. Now, my feed is filled with crypto news every day. So even if I didn't think about it or want it or like it, typically my Instagram feed used to be filled with cars. Pretty much that's about it. Now my Instagram feed had crypto news. And suddenly, in about 6 months, I was well versed enough in crypto and blockchain that I could have constructive conversations and I could start investing in that space. So for me, I realized, wait a second, is that all it takes? I started listening to podcasts, audio books, Audible, whichever format you want to use. And that really worked for me. The second was exploration every day. So when you get older in life, you get very settled in routines. You have the family, you have kids, you have work, you have social commitments, you have your parents. And it's very hard to break away from that routine and see something different and unique. So how do you explore every day? This was a tough one, and I'll give you an example of what happened when I started to get into this mindset. So one day, I didn't have my car with me at the office, and I had to rush to a meeting, and I was running downstairs, and I saw my admin guy in the office, and I said, यार मुझे गाड़ी चाहिए, अगर करीम बुलाऊंगा, it's going to take a long time, तो मैं क्या करूं? And he starts thinking, and I look at him, I was like, my bike hai? He said, हाँ. I was like, चलो. तो उसने मुझे बाइक पे पीछे बिठाया और मैं चला गया उसके साथ अपनी मीटिंग पे. अब मैं पीछे बैठा हुआ बाइक पे, and after a while I realized कि यार the perspective was different. क्योंकि वैसे तो गाड़ी में जा रहा हूँ मैं. जब मैं पीछे बैठ के बाइक में perspective different तरीके से देख रहा हूँ, I see my environment differently. I see traffic differently. I see the police differently. पुलिस वाले ने रोक भी लिया. And I was like, wait a second, I need to do this more often. So now, in everyday life, jahan pe I have an opportunity to do something new, to interrupt my pattern or schedule, I do it. I went to Lahore just yesterday, day before, and I landed at the airport without knowing how I'm going to get to my meeting, without knowing how I'm going to get from my meeting to the hotel and then to the dinner. And I just found the first taxi guy I saw, negotiated with him, went, made him stop, went to the meeting. I didn't plan. And I said, you know what? It'll be okay. It'll be fine. Kar lenge. And the third thing is reflect and record. This one, I started this, I think, in COVID. COVID का जो दौर था ना, बड़ा मुश्किल दौर था. Really, it stretched your limits क्योंकि business पुश हो गया आपका, आप घर बैठे हुए हैं सारा दिन, बच्चे भी घर पे हैं आपके सारा दिन. My business lost a lot of money at that time, and so I had to capture a lot of stress. अब stress relieve करने के लिए आप कहाँ जाएंगे? You're home all day, everything else is shut. I would go for my run, but that's what, an hour. I'd go for a drive, but that's an hour. So क्या करूँ? I started writing. I'd write my thoughts down. कि यार today was a great day, today was a crappy day. I felt like this today, and I just would pencil, not every day, no structure. Then I got some structure in it. I started answering some questions. And I did this on and off for a while. So much so that when I would get on a plane, I would write down my thoughts of how I've felt since my last flight. And when I look back on these notes recently, I observed how the last 5 years have been transformative. Again, it was not intentional. That was the whole point. It was something I did at that point in time. And it served me by looking at how much value it created for me. And so these are the three things that I would want you to incorporate into your everyday life, because it will help you adapt to change. It will help you be open to change. It will help you be comfortable when change takes place, because it will. Then I was like, wait, that's too easy. You guys are probably going to forget. Maybe some of you will take a picture and then you walk away and be like, you know what? We never applied it. So I thought of something else. I want you to think of your name and your surname, and I want you to take out your phone right now. Each and every one of you, take out your phone right now, and I want you to write your first name, your last name, and I want you to write today 1.0 and send it to someone you are very close to. Someone you're very close to. That is your software, that is your wiring today. You, your first name, your last name, 1.0 today. Okay? So your first name, last name, and your version 1.0 today. And now what's going to happen is, if you do those three things I showed you guys, this, right? If you do these three things tomorrow or day after, whenever you do these three, or you do a combination of these three, send that person 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and maybe all the way to 1.365, which means you've done it every day of the year. But what happens when you graduate, get your first job, get married, have a child, lose a loved one, leave the country. Well, those are major updates. So you're going to go to a 2.0. You'll move to a 3.0, a 4.0, a 5.0. And just like Zaleh just talked about how she became a mother and realized what her mother had actually been through, this will make you realize where you are in that version of the software update we hear about in media these days. So try this. These three will help you update a revision of who you are, and the major updates take place with major life events. That's it, it's that simple. Super easy, right? Right? I've just turned you all into massive recipients of change.